Hello everyone. So last time we started our new topic which is disposal of sewage, in which we studied about how do we dispose sewage by dilution, in which we dispose our sewage in rivers, lakes and various other water channels, okay, which includes seas also. Okay, today we are going to start how do we dispose of sewage on land. Okay, generally what is the reason we dispose this on land, so that we can use this sewage water as effluents. Okay, so let's start with this. What is this disposal? Firstly, in this method the sewage effluent is generally disposed by on applying it on land. Okay, secondly, the sewage water may either join the water table or is collected below by a system of under drains. This method can be used for irrigating crops. Okay, the main purpose of here is that we dispose sewage on land is that you can use this as irrigating water, or you can say to irrigate crops. So as you know, the sewage, when we're doing treatment of these sewage units, you see that we have lot of organic matter, or you can say various chemicals, you can say nutrients are present in this sewage. So if we dispose this sewage in the fields, these nutrients can be used by the various crops for their growth. Okay, it will be more advantageous if we use these crops. So what are the various, you can say, nutrients present in this sewage? Generally the nitrogen, phosphate, potash. Okay, this will help in increasing the yields of cash crops. And what is these cash crops? Okay, these cash crops are like cotton, sugarcane, plantain, etc. Okay, so these cash crops gets lot of nutrients from this nitrogen, phosphate, potash, which is present in sewage. So it will be more advantageous if we use this sewage for the irrigating purposes. Now next comes, now you see, when we dispose this sewage on land, what happens? Some of the sewage gets evaporated, okay, because most of the moisture is present in this sewage. Some of the moisture gets evaporated, but you know that in sewage some suspended solid is also present. Okay, according some suspended solid is also present. Due to this, what happens? These suspended solids and water which remain after the evaporation starts to percolate, or you can say is absorbed by the soil which is present in the field. Now in case if the sand is present, or you can sandy soils are present, what happens? You know that the in sandy soils the pores are large as compared to the clay soils. In sandy soils, due to this large number of pores, what happens? The suspended matter which is present in sewage get absorbed, or you can say get stuck in these pores. And due to the large number of voids, there will be a lot of variation there. In case of sandy soils, I'm talking about sandy soils here, not clay soils. Okay, because sandy soils has large number of pores as compared to, or you can say voids as compared to clay soil. Now, when these suspended solids get trapped in these, and due to lot of voids, there will be a lot of aeration. It means aerobic bacteria will survive here to decompose these suspended matter, or you can say organic matter. There will be better conditions here, because we generally want, or you can say you have seen many times now that we generally want aerobic conditions to survive in our treatments. Similarly, if there is aerobic conditions there, there will be no emission of foul gases, or you can say nuisance. But in case if there is a rock, or you can say clay is present, if rock is present or clay is present, means there will be no percolation of water, not no percolation of sewage, and they will not trap, and they will remain on the surface of the water. And due to this large accumulation of sewage, there will be a breeding of mosquitoes, or and anaerobic conditions will prevail in these conditions. Now if anaerobic conditions will prevail, what happen? Due to these anaerobic conditions, there will be a lot of emission of gases like methane. Okay, like methane, and what? Hydrogen sulfide, which will produce large foul gases. Okay, so we don't want these anaerobic conditions in our area, okay, or in our field, because it will be very harmful to the farmers working on these fields. Okay, so we generally dispose this, you can say, sewage on sandy soils. This is one thing you have to remember. Now If we apply, we have to care that we have to also kept in mind that we do not have to apply continuously sewage to the land, because it will leads to anaerobic conditions. Okay, we will discuss it about later. Now, so from this, it is clear to you that the most appropriate method of disposal of this sewage on land is to dispose it on sandy soils. Okay. Now after this, the recommended doses for the sewage farming in India are given here. Okay, see here, for which type of soil, what amount of raw sewage you can apply on the area. Okay, it is given in sewage is given in meter cube per hectares per day. Okay, from here you can see in sandy soils, if you apply the raw sewage, that is sewage which you are not treated in the treatment plants, and settled sewage is that sewage which undergoes treatment before disposal. Okay, so in this case you can see in sandy case the raw sewage is 120 to 150 meter cube per hectares per day, and in settled sewage it is 220. The quantity is increased if you were treated the sewage before. Okay, we can apply more sewage on the land. Similarly, see in sandy loam soils, in loam soils. Okay, now see in case of clay soils, we are using very less amount of raw sewage, or you can say less amount of settled sewage. Because why? Because due to in these cases there will be more chances of that anaerobic conditions prevail, and we don't want anaerobic conditions to prevail in our field. Okay, so these are the various recommended doses, especially for India. Now Bureau of Indian Standards had given some tables that what should be the tolerance limit, or you can say like BOD, pH, what should be these values in sewage should be there before disposing it in water, or you can say before disposing it in field. Now what are these? See here, these are the Bureau of Indian Standards of wastewater effluents to be discharged on land for irrigation. See here, the various parameters are given here. What are these parameters? BOD, pH value, total dissolved solids, oils and grease, chlorides, boron, sulfates. Okay, these are the various values, and various tolerance limits is also given here, that it should not exceed these values. Now what will be the favorable conditions to use sewage as effluent irrigation? In what conditions we have to use this sewage as effluent irrigation? Now we will discuss them. Okay. So what are these conditions? Firstly, when there is no natural source, or you can water courses are present near the area, or you can near the field, then then this sewage can be used as irrigation water. Okay, now next is, if there is no supply of water, or you can say shortage of water in the area, then also we can use this for irrigating the crops. Next is, if there is large number of large land, you can say very large land, and there is if we apply this sewage land sorry is the if we apply this sewage water, we can go cash crops. I already told you that. But if we generally the green vegetables, and or you can say potatoes etc, these are not grown in these fields, because in sewage there are a lot of chemical activities, or you can say chemical toxic uh, chemicals are present there. So we don't apply to those crops, because this sewage directly comes to the, you can say directly comes in contact with the plants. Okay, so in green vegetables or other eatable in which we eat their cover also, we don't use this sewage water. But in case of cash crops like cotton, you can say coconut, sugar cane, grasses, we can use this, and this will be successfully grown with advantage on sewage farms. Now what are more favorable conditions? See here, if there is less rainfall in an area, or you can say where the rainfall rate is very low, we can use this affluent irrigation. In addition to that, what are more, that in the method is preferred in areas of low water table where rate of percolation may be quite high. Okay, and last thing I already told you, that the area for land treatment or sewage farming should be porous, such as sandy loamy or alluvial soils. It should not be made of heavy retentive soils like clay, rock, etc. Okay, so this is all about disposal on land. Now there are, we are using very two terms very rapidly, which is effluent irrigation and sewage farming. Both these terms are synonyms to each other, but yet there is one difference between them. What is this difference? That in affluent irrigation, the chief consideration about the successful disposal of sewage. Okay, here we are mainly concerned with the how we can dispose the sewage we obtain from the various treatment plants, or we obtain the sewage we obtain by diluting from the rivers or rivers. But in sewage farming, the chief consideration is the successful growing of crops. Okay, here we are more concerned how we can grow crops by using this sewage. Okay, this is the basic difference between these two terms. Okay, next, how can we apply this sewage to the sewage farms? Okay, so there are various methods, which is surface irrigation, in which the free flooding, water flooding, check flooding, basin flooding, and furrow irrigation method is involved. And in addition to that, there is subsurface irrigation, and there is one sprinkler or spray irrigation. So what is surface irrigation? From the name it is clear that the surface irrigation we apply on the surface of the soil. Okay, as you can say, surface of the field. So there are various methods, which is free flooding. You have already studied these methods in your irrigation subject. Okay, although we will discuss one by one. What are these? First of all, see, first of all you have to see free flooding. Okay, this is the free flooding. In this, what happens? This is the main ditch which we excavate here. This is the main ditch, and in addition to that, we have made strips on the field here. See here, this is the strips we made on the field here, through which from their main ditch we supply the water to these sub ditches, or you can subsidiary ditch. So there are outlets are provided here. From these outlets, the water is supplied to the plants. Okay, so main supply and the sub ditch. Okay, this is the pattern of free flooding. Next comes to border flooding. What is border flooding now? In which, in this you can see there are borders are made here. I can show you these are the borders. Okay, these are the borders, and this is the main ditch from where water is coming, or you can say not water, sewage water or sewage effluent is coming. So we make more borders, and these borders are generally, the distance between these borders is 10 to 20 meter, and they are 100 to 400 meter long. So in these borders, we apply this water coming from this main ditch, and the water get collected in these areas. Okay, this is border flooding. Now next comes to check flooding. What is check flooding now? See, this is check flooding. In the it is I am showing the real view of the check flooding also. It is similar to that of the which type? It is similar to type of this water flooding, or you can say free flooding. The only difference is that we also provide here one thing, which is this subditch we also provide here for controlled supply of water. Okay, so that the water supply to here does not move from this to other side. Okay, this is called check flooding, and this type which is shown here is known as connecting leaf. Now after this, next comes furrow irrigation. Okay, it is the most widely used because the plants get more quantity of water from this, and there will be less wastage of sewage water, or you can say water. See here, there will be strips made in between the area in which plants are grown. Okay, in these strips gather water from the main ditch. Okay, this is called furrow irrigation. And the last one is, which is basin irrigation. What is this basin irrigation? In this, what happens? See here, there is a main supply of water. In this main supply of water, there is a subsidiary ditch. Okay, you can say small pipes, and there is a basin here. Okay, in which a tree is grown. Okay, in which a tree is grown. So the water is from the main supply goes to these basins and get accumulated in these basins. So each tree will get their own water. Okay, there will be less wastage of water in this case also. So in the picture you are not able to see it clearly, but it is picture in picture it is shown is, this is the main ditch. Okay, I will show you again. This is the main ditch, and from here there is going subsidiary ditches. Subsidiary ditches. Okay, so here you see the different trees are grown here. So each tree will get its separate effluent water. So these are the different type of surface irrigation. Now next comes the subsurface irrigation. In this method what happens, sewage is supplied directly to the root zone of the crops. Directly means, as the name suggests, subsurface, it means below the surface. Now if we supply directly to the root of zones, there will be less uses of water, okay, less wastage of water, and the water is properly, open jointed pipes are provided there, from which the open jointed pipes, due to this capillarity action, the root zones absorb the water from these pipes, or you can say open joint pipes. Now next comes the sprinkler irrigation. Sprinkler irrigation is a type of irrigation in which we fixed a pipe in the field, in the middle of the field, okay, in which nozzles are attached to it, and these nozzles are continuously rotating, and during their rotation they supply water in the form of, as you can say, like rain is happening there. Okay, so although this method is costlier and it is not commonly used in India, but it gives very good results. Okay, because it looks like natural rainfall is occurring here, and although the nozzles are delivering the water at very high pressure. Okay, so these are the different methods by which we can supply water to the sewage forms. Now comes the next topic, which is sewage sickness. What is this sewage sickness? See, when we apply sewage continuously on a piece of land, what happens? As you know that suspended solids are present in this sewage. Okay, this sewage gets you can say trapped in the pores, or you can say voids of the sands. And due to this clogging, what happens? That the free circulation of the water is stopped, or you can say free circulation of air is stopped, and anaerobic conditions will develop. Okay, so this phenomenon of soil getting clogged is known as sewage sickness of land. Okay, now you understand what is sewage sickness. It is nothing but when the pores of the sands get clogged due to the suspended solids present in the sewage. Okay, then it is, and anaerobic conditions prevail, then it is called sewage sickness. And what preventing measures we should apply to control this sewage sickness? Okay, so what are these preventive measures? First of all, primary treatment of sewage. What is this primary treatment of sewage? It means when we dispose the sewage into the field, first of all, we should treat it with various treatments, like primary treatments like screening, grit chamber, okay, sedimentation, so that the set level solids which is present here will be removed or reduced to some extent, and BOD is also reduced. Okay, and due to this, what happens? They will not clogged, or you can say trapped in the pores, and this will prevent the sewage sickness. Next is choice of land. Choice of land, I already told you that what type of land is there. If there is sandy soil, there will be no anaerobic conditions, but if it is clay soils, then will be anaerobic conditions there. Anaerobic conditions there. Now under drainage of soil. Under drainage of soil mean we have to provide some under drains below the field, so that the excess water accumulated is get collected in these pipes, and we can dispose it to some other area. There will be a no anaerobic conditions there. Next comes to giving rest to land. Giving rest to land means if we are continuously disposing sewage water to a piece of land, we will stop it for some time. Okay, during this time we plowed it again, and during plowing, what happens? During plowing, they will get again aerated, because we separate the various so you can say soil particles from each other, and they will get sufficient amount of oxygen, and the anaerobic conditions will not prevail there. And the last one is rotation of crops. Okay, in rotation of crops, what happens? In this case, how can we reduce the sewage sickness? In this, sewage sickness can be reduced by planting different crops in rotation instead of growing single type of crop. Okay, this will help in utilizing the fertilizing element of sewage and helps in aeration of soil. Okay, so these are the various preventive measures which we use to prevent sewage sickness. Now you have to do one thing. You have to tell me that what is better, or you can say what are the advantages and disadvantages of dilution method or land disposal method. Which one is better, and which one would you prefer in India? Okay, with this your disposal unit is complete. In next lecture we will move to you can say solid waste management. Okay, till then, okay, thank you, take care.